The most popular type of Pokemon challenge run over the past 6 months has been the Hardcore Nuzlocke. These rules make the typical Nuzlocke harder, since you're not allowed to use items in battle, level up your Pokemon more than the upcoming gym leader's highest level Pokemon, or play on Switch mode. In addition to these rules, people have added their own twists on it, such as only using one type, or only being able to use status moves. Since I never get my own ideas, I'll be doing one as well, with Pokemon Platinum. My twist on this will be to only use the worst Pokemon present in each wild area. I'm about to list several new rules regarding the encounters, but you can skip ahead since I'll also put them in the description. I will define the worst by comparing the placements of the highest obtainable evolution stages of the Pokemon I am capturing on this tier list, which was made by the most popular Nuzlocke channel, Pokemon Challenges. This list ranks every Pokemon based on how good they are in a Nuzlocke. Say that a route has only Starly and Machop. Starly would be represented by Staraptor, and Machop would be represented by Machoke, not Machamp, since I can't obtain trait evolutions. Since Staraptor is in the A tier and Machoke is in the C tier, Machop would be my encounter. Although the tweet says Pokemon within tiers are loosely ordered is better than not ordered at all. I'm banning any Pokemon present in the A tier and not using any static encounters. That means no starter. I'm also only allowed to use one of a certain Pokemon during the run. If a Pokemon is the worst on 2 different routes and I already caught one from the first route, then I will be unable to catch any Pokemon on the second route. The final rule is that unless a route contains absolutely no tall grass, I can only get land encounters. This rule stops water types from becoming a majority of the encounters. Fair warning that this is my first hardcore Nuzlocke, so I will make a lot of mistakes. Sorry about the long intro, but now it's time to begin the run. I named myself after 6/7 of Regirock. Sideways. I don't remember what I was thinking. And then I named my rival 42%. I'll make up an explanation later. You start the game off by watching television, which is a much more accurate example of what activities 10-year-olds are likely to do, rather than, leaving their houses and traveling for miles catching Pokemon to make money. Since water types are going to be the most common worst encounter, I want the rival to have a grass type, so the run will be tougher later in the game. I choose Piplup, which I will get rid of once I get my first encounter. Piplup takes out Turtwig with ease, and then my rival and I meet a disillusioned 27-year-old man near Lake Verity. Dawn gives me 5 Pokeballs, and I head over to Route 201 during nighttime to catch my first Pokemon, Kricketot. I forgot to nickname it, but I can just do that later. I deposit Piplup in the box, and it's time to go back to Lake Verity to catch another Pokemon, Bidoof. Believe it or not, Bidoof is the best Pokemon I'm gonna get this run. According to the list, of course. It's worth noting that in Hardcore Nuzlockes, if you have Pokemon that can use HMs, you have to teach it to them. That means you can't use separate HM mons unless you have absolutely no Pokemon that can use a certain HM. There are no encounters I can catch on routes 202, 203, or 204, since Kricketot is the worst Pokemon on all of them. If you notice that I skip encounters in any future areas, the vast majority of the time it's because I already have or have had the worst Pokemon present there, or because I just forgot. Training Kricketot is super annoying, as using Bite is a time-intensive process which also gives the opposing Pokemon more chances to get a critical hit. I reach Jubilife City, pick up the Poketch, and get Kricketot to level 10, where it evolves into Kricketune. Now I head to Route 203 and take on my rival. He only has a Starly and a Turtwig. Bidoof takes out the lower leveled Starly with a few tackles, and then I send out Kricketune as the Turtwig uses Withdraw. Fury Cutter is really good here as it doubles in power each time it is used consecutively. It's basically a weaker rollout that doesn't lock you into the same move. 4 Fury Cutters knock Turtwig out. I meet my next encounter in Oreburgh Gate, a Psyduck. I train up Psyduck in the Oreburgh Mines because it's by far the best Pokemon on my team to take on Rourke. I do get an encounter here as well, an Onix. Unfortunately, Onix is pretty strong early in the game and deals too much damage to my team for me to risk capturing it. I enter the Oreburgh Gym and take on Rourke. Psyduck KOs both Geodude and Onix with a single Water Gun. Rourke's Cranidos outspeeds and gets a Leer off, while Water Gun does about 75%. Rourke uses a potion and a second Water Gun leaves Cranidos with about 1 HP. It turns out both Pokemon speed tie since Psyduck outspeeds this next time and takes out Cranidos. I encounter and demolish Team Galactic Grunts for the first of many times and head north of Jubilife City onto Route 204. After a brief stop in Floraroma Town, I head to the Valley Windworks to get my next encounter, a Pachirisu. Before taking on Team Galactic again, I train up my Pokemon, primarily Bidoof. Bidoof evolves into Bibarel at level 15. Once Bibarel is level 18, I challenge Commander Mars. Several headbutts take out both of her Pokemon, Zubat and Perukli. Route 205 is next, and I'm immediately greeted by Cheryl upon entering Eterna Forest. This is great for leveling up Pokemon since Cheryl automatically heals your Pokemon after every battle. Eterna City is next, and I head over to the Name Raider to nickname Kricketune. I choose the name Banjo. On Route 211, during nighttime, I get my next Pokemon, a Hoot Hoot. I level up my Pokemon to the next level cap, and on the way, Hoot Hoot hits level 20 and evolves into Noctowl. Time to challenge Gardenia. She sends out a Turtwig as I send out Kricketune. Turtwig can't really do anything, so this is a great time to start setting up. I want to use Focus Energy to make critical hits with Fury Cutter more likely, which might be relevant due to Turtwig having Reflect. I use Sing to give me free turns to set up, but I miss 2 times right off the bat. I use Focus Energy and then Fury Cutter, but Turtwig wakes up after only 2 sleep turns, setting up Sunny Day. I get greedy and go for Sing again, which was a misplay on my part since another Fury Cutter crit would have KO'd Turtwig. I'm punished for missing as it sets up another Reflect. I should really stop clicking the 55% accurate move. Eventually, Turtwig goes down to Leech Life, allowing Kricketune to regain most of its HP in the process. Gardenia sends out Sharam, which eventually hits a Leech Seed. The damage stacks up too much, so I have to switch into Noctowl. Noctowl's only attacking move is Peck, but that's enough to finish Sharam off. Last is Roserade, but Noctowl's high special defense stat allows it to take Roserade's hits with ease. Since I'll have several chances to hit Hypnosis, I decide that it's worth going for it and use it on the first turn. It hits, and Roserade stays asleep for 4 consecutive turns, allowing Noctowl to eventually end the battle. Since I can use the HM Cut now, I can access the old Chateau, which holds my next encounter, Ghastly. Ghastly and Haunter have 3 immunities, along with good offenses, so they'll be great additions to the team. After leveling up my Pokemon, including Bibarel all the way up to the level cap of the following gym leader, I challenge Jupiter. 1 Headbutt is enough to take out Zubat. Hyper Fang deals a big chunk of damage to Skuntank and activates its Citrus Berry. 2 Headbutts finish it off. On the way to Hearthome City, I accidentally battle a Hiker with Kricketune at the front of my party. Geodude is a high enough level to use Self-Destruct, which is effectively a 400 base power move in this game due to it having the target's defense. None of my Pokemon can survive that, but fortunately I have a Psyduck. Damp blocks Self-Destruct from activating, and I just KO Geodude the following turn. After a brief encounter with Cyrus and going through Route 208, I reach Hearthome City. Time to battle Fantina. I lead off with Psyduck as she leads off with Duskull. Psyduck uses Water Pulse to deal about 40% to Duskull and gets burned by Will-O-Wisp in return. I want her to use her healing item early, so I Water Pulse again as Duskull uses Future Sight. Somehow, it is not in potion range, so another Water Pulse finishes it off. Miss Magius comes in, and this is the Pokemon that I'm most worried about. Miss Magius has Shadow Ball, Psybeam, and Magical Leaf, all coming off a 105 base special attack stat. I switch out my low health Psyduck into Noctowl to possibly take a Shadow Ball, but Miss Magius uses Psybeam instead. The Future Sight kicks in, and my Special Wall has already lost a third of its HP. Not good. I should have at least 3 chances to hit Hypnosis, so I attempt to land one. Miss Magius uses Confuse Ray, but Noctowl breaks through and misses. The second one lands though. Currently, the only Pokemon I have that can actually take advantage of Miss Magius' low defense stat is Pachirisu. Kricketune cannot because Ghost resists Bug. Spark can deal a solid chunk of damage and give me the possibility of paralyzing Miss Magius if it wakes up. Since gym leaders don't use full restores, a paralysis would be huge. Miss Magius wakes up early, hits a Confuse Ray, and then gets paralyzed by Spark. One more Spark activates its Citrus Berry, but Pachirisu gets put into range of a critical hit by Shadow Ball, which I don't want to risk yet. I go into Bibarel, but its only move that can actually hit Miss Magius is Water Gun. After we trade a few Magical Leafs and Water Guns, Fantina uses her Super Potion. Bibarel is too low, so I have to switch out again. I don't think that Kricketune will do anything for the rest of the run, so I decide to sacrifice it. It actually deals a solid amount of damage before going down though. I send out Pachirisu to get off one more Spark before switching out again. Miss Magius unfortunately crits Noctowl with Psybeam as it switches in, leaving it with only 25 HP. It finally stays fully paralyzed after not doing so for several turns, and Noctowl takes it out with only 12 HP to spare. Fantina's last Pokemon is Haunter, with the moveset of Shadow Claw, Sucker Punch, Hypnosis, and Confuse Ray. I identify that Noctowl can't be affected by 2 of these moves, Shadow Claw due to its typing, and Hypnosis due to its ability Insomnia. Because of this, I just have to get rid of the power points of the other 2 moves, Sucker Punch and Confuse Ray. I repeatedly switch between Bibarel and Noctowl as Haunter switches between Hypnosis, Sucker Punch, and Confuse Ray. Even though I lost count midway through, it starts to use Hypnosis several times consecutively, signaling that it has run out of Sucker Punch and Confuse Ray PP. Noctowl confuses Haunter a few times and I defeat Fantina, only using Kricketune in the process. In the gateway between Hearthome City and Route 209, I'm challenged by my rival. I don't want Pachirisu to be intimidated, so I lead with Psyduck and switch on the first turn. Spark hits through Double Team 2 times in a row, and Staravia goes down. Weasel goes down to a Spark and a Quick Attack. Grotle comes in, so I switch to Noctowl. A few Uproars take it out as I realize I forgot to box Kricketune. I send out Bibarel to fight Ponyta. Just one critical hit Water Gun is enough to knock it out, and I win the battle. I deposit Kricketune and enter Route 209. Surprisingly, my encounter here is Roselia. Yes, Roserade is lower on the list than Bibarel. I nickname it a loser because that's what Roselia sounds like backwards. Definitely. After a brief stop in Salation Town and a trek through Route 210, I get to Route 215. The worst encounter here is either Marill or Lickitung. Azumarill is in the low B tier, but Licky Licky is in the haven't used enough tier. I decide that I will catch a Marill and box it if it has the ability Huge Power, which doubles attack, since that might be too good to use in this run. I nickname it Kanye. Unfortunately, it is Huge Power, so that's another encounter down the drain. After arriving at Veilstone City, I deposit Marill in the box, head to Route 214 to train, pick up the TM28 Dig inside of Ruin Maniac Cave, and then challenge Maylene. Noctowl fortunately learned Air Slash at level 32, the level cap. It's the first strong stab move that takes advantage of its decent special attack. Anyways, Maylene's first Pokemon, Meditite, uses Fake Out to deal a bit of damage to Noctowl. It gets taken out by one Air Slash. Same with Machoke. Noctowl levels up past the level cap, but that's allowed if it happens during the gym battle itself. Lucario is really tough to beat since it one-hit or two-hit KOs my entire team except for Noctowl. I decide that my best option is to either put it to sleep with Noctowl, which I'll have 2 chances to do, or paralyze it with a Spark from Pachirisu. I take a Force Palm, don't get paralyzed, and hit Hypnosis on my first try. The chances of not getting paralyzed and hitting Hypnosis were 42%. Anyways, I Air Slash twice to get Lucario in the red. For some reason, Maylene doesn't use a potion, so I get another Air Slash off and win. I probably should have used Confusion instead of the second Air Slash to avoid that healing possibility entirely. Dawn and I chase off a couple Galactic Grunts, and I get the HM for Fly in the Galactic Warehouse. I teach it to Noctowl. I get through Route 213 and arrive at Pastoria City. A battle with 42% ensues. Psyduck and Staravia trade blows, and then my rival switches into Grotle. I send out Noctowl in response. An Air Slash and a Takedown take it down. I switch out to Bibarel to face Ponyta. I use Water Gun to chip Ponyta, and then Yawn to try to put it to sleep. I made a mistake by keeping Bibarel in on the second turn of the Yawn, risking it fainting to a critical hit. Water Gun KOs Ponyta in its sleep, and Staravia is sent out. I switch to Noctowl, and one Air Slash is enough. His final Pokemon is Weasel, which Roselia deals with in 1 Giga Drain. I wait for the morning to get my encounter on Route 213, a Chatot. Chatot is utterly terrible with 75, 45, 42 defenses. I finally have a full team of 6 though, and challenge the gym. I got really lazy with level grinding, as my entire team going into the fight is a good bit lower than the level cap of 37, except Pachirisu, which is at 36. I lead Pachirisu as Crasher Wake leads Gyarados. Pachirisu's recently acquired Discharge just barely doesn't KO Gyarados, but fully paralyzes it. Wake burns a Hyper Potion, and an Intimidated Spark deals about 50%. Wake switches into Quagsire to avoid taking any damage the following turn. I switch to Roselia and take a Rock Tomb. Quagsire is very slow, so Roselia still outspeeds and KOs Quagsire with Giga Drain. It really helped that Roselia had a jolly nature. Floatzel can KO Roselia with Ice Fang, so I have to switch out into Bibarel. Ice Fang still does a chunk to Bibarel. I get a Yawn off the following turn, but take an insane amount of damage from Crunch. I don't know why Floatzel is doing so much, maybe it's because Bibarel is 9 levels lower. Floatzel is likely to use Aqua Jet, so I switch to Noctowl. Floatzel goes to sleep, and I switch to Pachirisu the following turn. Discharge deals enough damage to it KO Floatzel, even with the Citrus Berry. Floatzel wakes up in 1 turn, outspeeds Pachirisu, and uses Crunch, but faints to the next Discharge. The paralyzed half-health Gyarados comes out, and I put it out of its misery to win the battle. A bomb explodes in the Great Marsh, and I have to chase the culprit for about a mile before catching up to him. After destroying him, Cynthia gives me the secret potion to move some Psyducks out of the way. So it turns out my recording software didn't record this portion of the run correctly, so I don't have footage from this point in the game to the end of the Byron battle. This means I'm missing 3 major battles. The first battle with Cyrus in Celestic Town, the rival fight in Canalave City, and the gym leader fight against Byron also in Canalave City. I don't exactly remember how the first 2 of those went, though I do remember that my somewhat over-leveled Golduck went crazy and took out about 6 out of their combined 8 Pokemon. However, I remember exactly how the battle went against Byron, so I'll show you what happened using actual real-life wild footage from PokemonShowdown.com. I taught Pachirisu Dig with the TM I obtained in Rune Maniac Cave because none of my current Pokemon can really touch his first Pokemon, Magneton, without taking a bunch of damage in return. Dig deals about 60% to Magneton, and Pachirisu doesn't take much damage from Tri-Attack in return. Magneton goes down to a second Dig. Byron sends out Steelix. I don't want to take an Earthquake, so I switch into Golduck. Golduck has Surf, which I taught it using the HM that Cynthia's grandmother gave me back in Celestic Town. Surf takes out Steelix easily. Byron's last Pokemon is Bastiodon, but it will survive a Surf due to its massive 138 base special defense stat. It also has Metal Burst, which deals 1.5 times the damage it takes from an attack, assuming it goes second. I switch to Bibarel and take a Stone Edge. I have it use Rock Smash to put Bastiodon in range of a Surf, as it takes another Stone Edge. Both Bibarel and Golduck are now in range of a critical hit Stone Edge. I need a safe way to get Golduck in, so I decide it's time to make a sacrifice. I switch out into Chatot since I don't really need it for the rest of this run. Terminator gets terminated by a Stone Edge. Golduck comes in and finishes Bastiodon off. Alright, back to actual footage. Although I just need the HM for Strength, which Riley gives you at the front of the cave, to move on in the game, I decide to level up my Pokemon in Iron Island since a few tough battles with Team Galactic are coming up. I teach Strength to Bibarel. Team Galactic plans to abduct every single Pokemon in Iron Island, so I take them on while teaming up with Riley. I have Bibarel use Strength the entire battle, while Riley's Lucario somehow faints to a bunch of lower-leveled, incompletely evolved Pokemon. Team Galactic compliments us by calling our combination sick. I pick up a Shiny Stone and then head back to Canalave Library where another bomb explodes. This one is significantly larger than the other one as it causes an earthquake across the region. At Lake Valor, our favorite blue-haired bunch is up to no good again. Time to battle Commander Saturn for the first time. He sends out Golbat as I send out Pachirisu. 2 discharges take it out. Toxicroak is next, and Pachirisu takes way too much from Poison Jab. It did not get poisoned though, so everything is fine. I switch to Golduck, which I honestly should have led with, and a Confusion takes Toxicroak out. Golduck is getting low on health, so I switch to Bibarel. Bronzor is really weak offensively, so there's nothing to worry about. A million water guns later, I win. The next lake I have to go to is Lake Verity, where I battle Mars again. I send out Noctowl into her Golbat. Noctowl gets flinched, deals big damage with Air Slash, gets flinched again, and then misses Air Slash. Noctowl's on thin ice. I switch into Pachirisu and take Golbat out. Again, Bronzor is really weak, so I click Discharge a few times. After Pachirisu hits itself in Confusion 2 times in a row, I switch into Golduck, which finishes Bronzor off with Surf. Pericles goes down to 2 Surfs even with the Citrus Berry activating. Next stop is Snow Point City. Starting now, this challenge gets a lot more difficult. I pass through Mount Coronet and reach Route 216, which my laptop does not take well at all. My encounter here is the Snorunt, which Pachirisu unfortunately crits and KOs with Dig. I have 3 more chances to catch one though, and plan to try my luck at the Acuity Lakefront during nighttime. In the meantime though, I use the Shiny Stone to evolve Roselia. When I encounter Snorunt at the lakefront, I immediately throw a Quick Ball, and am successful. I nickname it after its secret evolution. I train my Pokemon on Route 218 all the way to the level cap, and on the way, Snorunt evolves into Glalie. I purchased the TM for Blizzard from the Veilstone department store to teach the Glalie, and get the Miracle Seed for Roserade to hold. Before fighting Candace, I switch Golduck to the front of my party. This time, all my Pokemon are at the level cap. Her first Pokemon is Sneasel. Although Bibarel can beat Sneasel as well, I need it to be healthy later in the fight. 2 Surfs take out Sneasel. Candace sends out Abomasnow next, and it's time to say goodbye to Noctowl. None of my Pokemon can take a Wood Hammer and another attack from Abomasnow, and Noctowl is the only Pokemon I don't need anymore. Wood Hammer deals a large amount of damage, and I go for an Air Slash, fishing for the possibility of a crit or a flinch. I get the immediate crit, and I guess Noctowl doesn't want to die today. Piloswine is next, and I decide to switch to Golduck to either take a Stone Edge or Avalanche. Stone Edge doesn't do enough, and Surf picks up Piloswine. Candace's ace is Frostlass, which has Snow Cloak. This means most moves are 20% less accurate than they usually are. To add to this, it also has Double Team. Fortunately, because it sees a KO on Golduck, it uses Shadow Ball, doing nothing to my Bibarel. It uses Double Team the next turn, but I click Yawn, which bypasses accuracy checks. I need to get maximum use out of Frostlass's sleep turns, so I switch out to the better Snorunt evolution the turn before it goes to sleep, at the cost of getting hit by Psychic. Blizzard bypasses accuracy checks in Hail, but even with the Icicle Plate, it only does about 30%. Since I don't want her to use healing items, I use Crunch for the rest of the battle, since the first one would most likely activate her Citrus Berry and the second would KO. Although it's just barely above 50% accurate right now, the first Crunch hits, and what do you know, it crits again. I almost certainly should have lost one Pokemon this fight, but that's just the game that we play. These lines read pretty sarcastically. I don't think Candace is that happy she got crit twice. 42% apparently lost to Jupiter, what a loser. I fly back to Veilstone, wipe out all the grunts in the warehouse, and pick up the TM for Sludge Bomb and the Galactic Key. I immediately teach Sludge Bomb to Roserade. After also clearing the galactic headquarters of grunts, I battle Cyrus. Bibarel uses Rock Smash twice to take out Sneasel. I know Bibarel will tank one hit from Crobat, so I have it use Yawn. I probably should have just switched out into Pachirisu or Golduck, but this worked out. Now I switch into Pachirisu, but it doesn't take out Crobat with 2 discharges. Cyrus uses a full restore, and the next discharge paralyzes Crobat. 2 more discharges later, Crobat goes down. Honchkrow is last. I switch out to Glalie, take a lot of damage from Night Slash and Drill Peck, and then fire back with an Icicle Plate boosted Ice Fang, which activates Honchkrow's Citrus Berry. I switch out into Golduck, and 2 Surfs are enough to take it out. Next up, I battle Saturn for the second time. I switch Bibarel out into Pachirisu and get confused by Golbat's Confuse Ray. Pachirisu hits itself in confusion, but hits a discharge the second time around. I have to switch out due to Pachirisu's low HP, and go into Golduck. A Surf knocks out Golbat. Bronzor is next. Surf deals about 60% as Bronzor's Extra Sensory doesn't do much. The next Surf knocks it out. Toxicroak is last. Golduck has taken too much toxic damage, so I switch out into Noctowl as Toxicroak uses X Scissor. After taking a lot from Poison Jab, Extra Sensory KOs it in 1 hit. I set the Lake Trio free, and then try to talk to this guy who literally does nothing the entire game except be there and talk about himself. Time for the final Team Galactic episode in Mount Coronet. There are 2 grunts blocking the entrance to Spear Pillar, but like the ones in Iron Island, they only have incompletely evolved Pokémon. What's going on here? Are grunts just not allowed to evolve their Pokémon? My 2 worst Pokémon take care of the grunts by spamming Blizzard and Air Slash the entire fight. Before the double battle against Jupiter and Mars, I fly to Pastoria City and head to a small patch of land across the water. Here, I find a Mystic Water, which boosts the damage of Water-type moves by 20%. I give it to Golduck, go all the way back to Mount Coronet, and team up with Barry to try to take down Mars and Jupiter. My plan is to press Surf as many times as possible. Mars and Jupiter each send out Bronzors, which will set up Reflect and Light Screen. Both Bronzors go down after 3 Surfs, but one of their extra sensories unfortunately crits Golduck. I Surf one more time, as Munchlax goes down. I avoid targeting Purugly, and instead Zen Headbutt Golbat, since I want to KO both Pokemon at the same time the following turn. Unfortunately, my rival Staraptor KOs Purugly with close combat. Golbat uses Sludge Bomb, which I didn't know it had, because I was looking at Mars's Golbat moveset instead of Jupiter's. Fortunately, I am not punished for this as Golduck does not get poisoned. That could have just ended the run right there. Now, Mars's Golbat comes out, and I switch into Glalie. I decide to just go for Blizzard since it's almost certain that Glalie survives this turn. However, Golbat uses Confuse Ray and Glalie hits itself in confusion. I have to switch out into Bibarel and let my rival do most of the work from here. Staraptor KOs the Golbat, and Rapidash KOs Skuntank. Cyrus summons Dialga and Palkia to destroy the world, but the 3 Pixies stop them. Giratina causes Cyrus to step back and scream in fear. Or maybe that's his voice getting distorted, I don't know. I really like how the Giratina scene happens at the bottom of the DS rather than the top. I'm nowhere near ready to enter the Distortion world right now. The current level cap is 50, so I want to get most of my Pokemon to 48 or 49 to leave room for levels between the Cyrus fight and the Sunyshore Gym. I head to the Solaceon daycare to level up my Pokemon 2 at a time and bike back and forth. While at the daycare, Bibarel learns Superpower, which will allow it to one-shot Cyrus's Weavile. I go to Iron Island to pick up an item, the Magnet, which boosts Electric-type attacks. I give the Magnet to Pachirisu and then enter the Distortion world. Cyrus time. He leads Houndoom while I lead Golduck. 1 Surf KOs Houndoom. Cyrus sends in Gyarados. I need to get some chip damage on it and a safe switching into Pachirisu after that, since Discharge won't do enough to KO. I switch into Noctowl, which takes no damage since Gyarados uses Earthquake. Noctowl takes a lot from Ice Fang and retaliates with Air Slash, which doesn't do as much damage as I'd like. It's likely that Gyarados uses Ice Fang again, so I switch into Glalie. Gyarados crits a Waterfall, and Glalie uses Ice Fang to definitively put it in range of a Discharge. That critical hit is really bad, since now it can use any of its 4 moves due to seeing a possible kill with every single one of them. I can't hard switch into Pachirisu, since an Earthquake would knock it out. It's time to let Glalie go. Gyarados uses Ice Fang, and somehow it doesn't do enough, allowing Glalie to Ice Fang one more time. This is good, since it forces Cyrus to burn a full restore. Gyarados finally KOs Glalie. Pachirisu knocks Gyarados out with Discharge the next turn. He sends out Weavile, which will always click Fake Out on the first turn if it's not in front of a Ghost type. Bibarel takes the Fake Out and then the following Night Slash. then KOs Weavile with Superpower. Cyrus sends out Honchkrow. I want a safe switch into Golduck, so I sacrifice Noctowl. 2 Surfs KO Honchkrow. His last mon is Crobat, and since Golduck is relatively healthy, I keep it in and click Surf, which deals about 70%. Crobat uses Air Slash, which flinches Golduck, so I have to switch out into Pachirisu. Pachirisu takes nothing from Air Slash, breaks through Confusion, and wins the battle with Discharge. With Glalie gone, KOing Giratina is kind of tough. I teach Roserade Protect to try a Protect Toxic strategy. On turns where Giratina uses Shadow Force, I can just switch into Bibarel. I hit Toxic, and Giratina deals solid damage with Ominous Wind. The following turn, Roserade uses Giga Drain, but Giratina gets the Omni Boost from Ancient Power. Giratina uses Shadow Force, allowing me to switch into Bibarel. 1 turn later, it succumbs to toxic damage. After the battle, it occurs to me that I could have at least tried to run instead of fight. Cyrus says his final sore loser words, and I exit the Distortion world. Sendoff Spring has another encounter, but I fly to Sandgem Town first to report to Professor Rowan. If you see Noctowl in my party at any point later in the run, I am only using it to fly, as none of my current or future Pokemon can learn it. I talk to Rowan, head back to Route 214, and then re-enter Sendoff Spring. My encounter here is a Chingling. I nickname it Cheese. There's no blackout blocking the road to Sunyshore City anymore, so I get there after a short trip through Route 222. I send Volkner back to the gym, defeat all the gym trainers, and then head to Route 222 to train my Pokemon up to the level cap, level 50. Time to prepare items. Back on Route 214, I find 2 Cherry Berries. Volkner has a Jolteon with Thunder Wave and Raichu with Static, so these will probably activate at least once during the battle. North of Oreburgh City is Route 206, where I find the Poison Barb. Roserade is fast but not that powerful due to its jolly nature, which boosts speed and lowers special attack. The Poison Barb should help with this issue by powering up Sludge Bomb. I give the Cherry Berries to Golduck and Pachirisu. Since I need to keep Roserade and Pachirisu healthy for later in the battle, I choose to lead with Golduck. Jolteon should always use either Thunder Wave or Charge Beam on the first turn, so I should get at least 1 Surf off before needing to switch out. The final gym battle begins, and Volkner really wants to punch you. Jolteon Thunder Waves on the first turn, activating the Cherry Berry. Surf does about half to it. Golduck takes less than half from Charge Beam, but Jolteon gets a special attack boost. Surf leaves it with the Sliver, forcing Volkner to use a Hyper Potion the following turn. I use that opportunity to hit another Surf. After that, I switch into Pachirisu to take a Charge Beam. Jolteon gets a crit with the next Charge Beam, but feints to dig 2 turns later. Volkner sends out Electivire. Now, fun fact about this game, all trainer Pokemon have fixed IVs and natures, meaning that in any save file, all their stats will be the exact same numbers. Using this document provided by Smogon user SB879, which I'll link below, I know that Electivire has an odd HP stat. Super Fang, which always deals damage equal to half of the target's remaining HP, will therefore not activate Electivire's Citrus Berry, since Pokemon almost always rounds down decimals. The Citrus Berry does not activate, and Pachirisu lives a Fire Punch with just 17 HP. This basically guarantees that Electivire will use Quick Attack, allowing me to freely switch in Roserade. 1 Poison Bar boosted Sludge Bomb KOs Electivire. Luxray comes out and has the ability Rivalry. This means it will deal 25% more damage if the target shares its gender and 25% less if the opposite is true, which is fortunately true in this case. I Giga Drain, knowing Fire Fang definitely won't KO after gaining a bit of HP. I then try to estimate the amount of damage a Sludge Bomb will do to determine if using it or Giga Drain is better. Giga Drain is a 60 base power move, while Sludge Bomb is 108 with the Poison Barb. Since Giga Drain did about 40% to Luxray, a Sludge Bomb should do about 72%. That's enough damage to basically guarantee a KO, so I go for it. Luxray goes down. Raichu is Volkner's last Pokemon with the moves Charge Beam, Signal Beam, Focus Blast, and Quick Attack. I make sure Roserade is faster and then use Sludge Bomb, knowing that none of Raichu's attacks can KO it. I probably should have Giga Drained though. Roserade is probably in Quick Attack range now, so I need to switch. Weirdly enough, my best play is to switch into Bibarel since it should tank any combination of the next 2 attacks. Raichu uses Signal Beam, meaning I didn't need to switch. Focus Blast brings Bibarel down to a comfortable amount of HP, and it takes out Raichu with Strength. I talk to Jasmine north of Sunyshore and get the HM for Waterfall because I have friends. Finally, a physical Water-type move for Bibarel. The next encounter is Remoraid, which can be found on both Route 223 and the Pokemon League through fishing. I get one at the Pokemon League on top of the waterfall and name it Charles. Victory Road is a cakewalk, but I'm definitely not ready to take on the Elite Four. I level up my Pokemon in Solaceon Town again, and then it's time for the final battle with 42%. I lead with Golduck, and a single Mystic Water boosted Surf is enough to take it out. I switch Golduck into Roserade to take a Leaf Storm, and then 2 Sludge Bombs take Torterra out. Golduck comes back in to take on Rapidash. Rapidash misses Bounce and then gets bounced by a Surf. Heracross goes down to 2 Surfs. Floatzel also goes down to 2 Surfs. My rival's last Pokemon is Snorlax, to which I send out Bibarel. Bibarel is paralyzed by a Body Slam, but takes out Snorlax the following turn with a critical hit from Superpower. Since it's nighttime and Chingling is at max happiness from biking up and down, it evolves. I need a lot of money, so I head over to Route 212 and then the Trophy Garden. I run back and forth between the 2 rich trainers here, activating the VS Seeker when available. Once I've made enough money, I head over to the Game Corner and burn 560,000 Pokédollars on 30,000 coins. I use this money to buy 3 TMs, 1 for Ice Beam and 2 for Psychic. I learned afterwards that there is an Ice Beam TM on Route 216, so I didn't really need to purchase it. In Celestic Town, I enter the town shop and talk to the Glasses Jew during the morning. He hands over the choice specs. I teach Golduck Ice Beam and then go to the hard skill tutor in Pastoria to get it to remember a move. I have it learn Amnesia. In Canalave, I go to the move deleter to have Bibarel forget Strength. I teach it Return instead. With all the cycling I've done, Bibarel should be very happy, and Return should have its maximum base power of 102. Time for a final team recap. Corleone the Golduck is holding the choice specs. Its defense is massive for some reason, even though that's actually its lowest base stat. The high special attack and speed are pretty nice though. For the record, I have done effectively no targeted EV training this run. Golduck has Surf, Ice Beam, Hydro Pump, and Amnesia. A loser the Roserade, holding the Poison Barb, has only 3 moves right now: Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, and Toxic. All its stats are great except for defense and attack. So basically, Golduck is my physical wall, and Roserade is my special wall. Arizona the Bibarel is not holding an item and has decent attack and speed stats. I wanted to try using a Sword Stance set because of its ability Simple, which doubles stat changes, but it's just too slow and doesn't get a speed boosting move in this game. It has Yawn, Superpower, Waterfall, and Return. Best friend the Pachirisu is holding the Magnet and has the moves Dig, Super Fang, Quick Attack, and Discharge. As expected from it being unable to KO Gyarados, its attacking stats are all terrible. It's still as much of a special wall as Roserade though. It feels so weird to call these Pokemon walls. Charles the Octillery is holding the Mystic Water. Although its bulk and speed aren't great, its attacking stats are fantastic, primarily the special attack. Believe it or not, this speed stat is also really high for an Octillery, and it can outspeed some Pokemon in the Elite Four such as Aaron Scizor and Vespiquen. It has the moves Fire Blast, which I taught it using a TM from the department store, Ice Beam, Psybeam, and Surf. I probably should have taught it Psychic with one of my 2 TMs because that's just better than Psybeam. Cheese the Chimecho has an underwhelming moveset consisting of Astonish, Psychic, which I had to teach it with a TM, Uproar, and Last Resort. It's holding the Auden Sense to boost the power of the one good move it has. It has a solid special attack stat, but nothing else to really write home about. I expect it to serve as a sacrifice and basically nothing else. I'm limping to the finish line, but I think I'm in a great position to win this run. Aaron is first up and sends out a Yanmega. It goes down to 1 Choice Specs boosted Surf. Heracross is next and takes a ton of damage from Surf. It retaliates with a Swarm boosted Megahorn, but that misses. There's no way that would have KO'd if it hit, but taking no damage is almost always better than taking some damage. After Aaron heals, the next 2 Surfs knock Heracross out. Vespiquen is next, and I switch out to Octillery. Vespiquen uses Defend Order to raise its defense and special defense by 1 stage each. Ice Beam still 2-hit KOs it, but I take a big attack order critical hit in between. Aaron sends out Scizor, which has a good chance of knocking Octillery out with Quick Attack. I send in Golduck, but Scizor lands X-Scissor and lands a critical hit. I need Golduck healthy for a future Pokemon, so I have no choice but to switch out. I switch into Pachirisu to see if it'll live 2 hits, but the answer is no. Bibarel doesn't take as much, however. I use this opportunity to yawn, as Scizor brings Bibarel down into the red. I switch into Roserade since it's now the only one of my Pokemon that can live in X-Scissor. Scizor falls asleep, and I go back into Octillery. I should have a couple opportunities to land Fire Blast since Octillery is faster. The first one fortunately lands, and Aaron sends out his last Pokemon, Drapion. Due to all the crits that were thrown around, all my Pokemon are in range of a Night Slash except for Golduck. Drapion doesn't even Night Slash, clicking X-Scissor instead. I'm not confident in Surf KOing, so I decide to risk missing and go for a Hydro Pump. It hits, and I win without having to sacrifice any Pokemon. I probably shouldn't have switched Golduck out against the Vespiquen. I heal up my team and switch Roserade to the front of the party in preparation for Bertha. She sends out Whiscash. Giga Drain easily KOs it. Gliscor is next, and I send out Golduck to tank an Earthquake. From here, Surf 1-hit KOs Gliscor, Golem, Rhyperior, and Hippowdon. 2 members down, 2 to go. I heal up and switch Golduck back to the front of my party before battling Flint. All 5 of his Pokemon are weak to water and slower than Golduck, so you can guess how this goes. Houndoom, Infernape, Rapidash, Magmortar, and Flareon all go down to 1 Surf each. I use the Max Ether on Surf because there's only 3 left, and use a PP up on Hydro Pump because there's a possibility of that being relevant against Lucian. I move the barrel to the front of the party, then take the Choice Specs off of Golduck, the Mystic Water off of Octillery, and the Poison Barb off of Roserade. I give Roserade the Choice Specs, Golduck the Mystic Water, and Octillery a Citrus Berry because I don't know if there's any better item for it right now. I finally teach Roserade its 4th move, Shadow Ball, which would really help against Lucian's Psychic types. Lucian sends out a Mr. Mime with Screens, Psychic, and Thunderbolt. I want to put his Mr. Mime to sleep since it's one of the least threatening mons on his team. This will give Golduck an opportunity to set up Amnesias, which will help with the Espeon, Alakazam, and Bronzong in Lucian's party. Once Mr. Mime goes to sleep, I switch into Golduck. I set up an Amnesia, but Mr. Mime gets a 1-turn Wake and deals a solid chunk of damage with Thunderbolt. I set up one more Amnesia since Surf wouldn't KO due to Light Screen anyway. Next turn, once Light Screen is gone, Surf KOs Mr. Mime. Alakazam has Energy Ball, but with 2 Amnesias on the board, Golduck should be able to tank 2 hits. Because of this, I have 2 opportunities to hit Hydro Pump. The first one hits, and Alakazam goes down. Lucian sends out Gallade, his most threatening Pokemon in my opinion, at least to my team. He can at least 2-hit KO every single member on the team right now. I switch in Pachirisu, and it doesn't take a Leaf Blade well. I Super Fang Gallade to deal as much damage as I can, but I forget that it has its Citrus Berry, so it's back at 75%. Pachirisu goes down, marking the first casualty of the Elite Four. I switch in Chimecho to face Gallade. Hopefully, one Psychic will put it in range of a move from either Roserade or Golduck. It does enough, and I switch to Roserade the following turn, since there's no chance Gallade will use Psycho Cut. Lucian switches out on the same turn into Espeon. Not sure why that happened, but it probably doesn't affect the result. Roserade is faster and should always tank a Psychic from Espeon, so I feel safe in going for Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball doesn't KO Espeon, but Psychic doesn't KO Roserade either. It doesn't even put Roserade into quick attack range. Lucian is forced into a Hyper Potion, but 2 more Shadow Balls take down Espeon. Bronzong comes out, so I send in Octillery. Bronzong uses Calm Mind. Even with a special defense boost, Bronzong doesn't survive a Fire Blast and a Surf. Gallade comes back out and is going to click Leaf Blade because that can KO Octillery. My only hope to get through this fight without another death is by switching into my 33 HP Roserade, which 4 times resists that move. Leaf Blade doesn't do enough, so Roserade KOs Gallade with Shadow Ball. That was intense, but the hardest battle in the run still awaits. I heal my Pokemon one final time, switch Golduck to the front of my party, give Roserade's Choice Specs to Golduck, and give Roserade back the Poison Barb. I teach Roserade the move Grass Knot, since it's more useful than Giga Drain for this fight. I also teach it Swagger to help me get out of a bad situation if necessary. All the hiccups and setbacks I've experienced during this run won't matter if I can just win this battle. Cynthia leads with Spiritomb, which goes down to a couple Surfs, but not before dealing about a third to Golduck with Shadow Ball. She sends out Roserade next, so I switch into my own Roserade expecting an Energy Ball. She uses Sludge Bomb instead for some reason. I don't think Golduck would have fainted to that, so I don't know why she did that. Either way, that throws a wrench in my plan, since I was planning on my Roserade to eat an Energy Ball and an extra Sensory while KOing Cynthia's with 2 Poison Bar boosted Sludge Bombs. I switch into Chimecho hoping that Roserade will use its super effective move, Extra Sensory. It indeed uses that, allowing Chimecho to live a potential Sludge Bomb the following turn. Roserade uses Toxic for some reason, and Chimecho doesn't KO Roserade with the Odd and Sense boosted Psychic. This might be better though, since Cynthia is forced to burn a full Restore. After another Psychic that deals about 99%, Chimecho goes down to Sludge Bomb, due to taking too much damage from Toxic. I send in Roserade to finish off Cynthia's Roserade. She sends out Togekiss, so I send in Bibarel, knowing that it will be faster. The incoming Air Slash deals less than half. I have Bibarel use Return, dealing about 40% to Togekiss. Togekiss uses Air Slash again, rather than Aura Sphere or Shockwave, both of which would have knocked Bibarel out. I guess the first Air Slash must have been a pretty low roll if it saw a KO with the next one. I click Waterfall to simultaneously avoid putting Togekiss into healing range while also giving me a chance to get lucky with the flinch. I don't get the flinch, so Bibarel goes down. She has 4 Pokemon left while I have 3. I send Golduck back in, and an Ice Beam takes out Togekiss. Garchomp comes out, and I know Golduck will definitely survive an Earthquake or Dragon Rush without a crit. She uses Dragon Rush, but there's not even a chance for a crit or flinch to happen because it misses. Garchomp goes down, and I have taken the lead. I need about 30% of chip damage on Melodic so that Roserade can KO it with Grass Knot. Ice Beam deals a bit more than 15%, so I can reach that benchmark easily. Without that Dragon Rush miss, I would have had to switch out into Roserade immediately, get a Grass Knot off, and then KO Melodic with a Specs boosted Hydro Pump. The Mafia boss goes down, and now it's time for Roserade and Octillery to finish the job. Roserade's Grass Knot KOs Melodic. Cynthia's last Pokemon is Lucario, to which Roserade deals a small chunk of damage with Shadow Ball. I forgot that Steel resists Ghost, so I should have just clicked the 80 base power Grass Knot instead. Lucario's Stone Edge knocks out Roserade, bringing the game down to a 1-on-1. It's all up to Charles. It looks like I forgot to Ether up Fire Blast, but I'll only have 2 chances at most anyways. Lucario's Aura Sphere does a lot, but after healing back up with Citrus Berry, Fire Blast hits. Lucario down, Cynthia down. That was a really tough run. Aaron, Lucian, and Cynthia all messed up my initial game plans, forcing me to think on the fly. My Pokemon are inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I finished the game in under 40 hours. I know this run had several mistakes, but it was the first hardcore Nuzlocke I've ever completed, so I'm really happy. Remember, if you like the video, and if you like this kind of content, subscribe. Only 1% of the people who watch my channel are subscribed, which is a lot smaller than I'd like it to be. I also said in my last video that comments help the algorithm, and look how that went. Comments do indeed help the algorithm. I'm always open to feedback on how to make my videos better and suggestions for future videos. Thanks for watching.